So for my old presentation, I just always like to remind of at least these couple of points that the counterintelligence program, or COINTELPRO, mounted by the FBI to disrupt, misdirect, discredit, and otherwise neutralize the civil rights, Black liberation, Puerto Rican independence, Native American anti-war socialists, and New Left movements in the 1960s and 70s, and one of the most notorious U.S. government's domestic anti-radical programs ever developed, engaged in what was called Black propaganda, or the distribution of fabricated articles, leaflets, etc., that misrepresented the politics and objectives of an organization or leader in order to discredit the group or individual and to pit organizations against each other. The goal of the COINTELPRO, specifically targeting Black people, was to prevent the rise of a Black messiah who could unify and electrify the militant Black nationalist movement. Malcolm X might have been such a messiah. He is the martyr of the movement today. Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, and Elijah Muhammad all aspire to this position. King could be a very real contender for this position should he abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrine of nonviolence and embrace Black nationalism. But 3 years before that, he had already been targeted, as described here, by William Sullivan, the head of FBI's COINTELPRO operations for Hoover. King had already been targeted with a plan that aimed at neutralizing Dr. King as an effective Negro leader. In light of King's powerful demagogic speech, that is the March on Washington, we must mark him now, if we have not done so before, as the most dangerous Negro of the future of this nation from the standpoint of communism, the Negro, and national security. All right, so he was already being targeted for a radicalism that he is often not credited for today, and not that is often not reminded of, even by his own family, his own children. So with the authors here in this book, I mean, what I love about, first of all, the first thing I love about what they did here is that they've shown me and or reminded me, but mostly shown me, that there's a lot more work that has that has arisen over the years that is attempting to unearth the radical king. So over the last several, I don't know, maybe decade or more, there's been more work produced in this area than I was aware of. I'm very happy about that. But I'm also reminded of the initial piece that I've read here, that the mission, whether it's organized in that way or not today, is irrelevant. The mission of that Black propaganda or Black operations of discrediting and misrepresenting the politics of people like Dr. King is still full in effect. So even with all this work, and the work even included in this book, we don't get delivered to us, certainly not in Monument down in DC. That monument down there is a travesty in terms of representing the real Dr. King. I think they had one quote on that monument that is later than 1966. So none of his radicalism, his increasing radicalism, is reflected there. It's just anyway.